shout out to Joey for making that. I like that. I like that jam.
I like that. It's funny you say that. I was thinking in my mind, I was actually going to message you saying I like this little like whatever.
That's good vibes right there.
Definitely good vibes.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the EV Strategy Show right here on the OddsShopper channel. I'm Dave Logren. That is Ben Rassa. It is Masters Day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, start of the Masters and a whole lot more going on. Baseball mostly in the day. I believe we only have like one night game tonight or something like that.
Yeah, schedule's a little funky. We got some NBA tonight. It's just, we've said this for quite a while now. Half the games are 20, 15, 14-point spreads these days. So it's NBA is taking a little of a backseat for me.
Yeah, I'll say this much. I'm still betting it, but I am doing so with more caution.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things I'm looking at really closely these days would be, and hold on a second, would be like, all right, let me just go into this real quick. I should be logged in. Let me refresh. There we go. So one of the things, Ben, that I'm looking at closely is, first of all, go and look. I think the simplest thing to do, even before you look at the injury reports, go in and look at the standings. If you don't already have a good understanding of like what teams are still in it, if you already do, then you don't need to worry about that. But if you know what teams do not have to like worry about anything, and then what teams are still battling for, a play-in spot or, to jump and grab that 6th seed and avoid the play-ins. Like if you go and look at the Western Conference, you have an insane logjam right now of teams that all have like 47 or 46 wins. There's legitimately 4 or 5 of teams that are jockeying for position to close out the season. All of them have something to play for. But then look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 10-point dogs today against the Pacers.
So it's kind of one of these things where I'm just going super surface level. I know the NBA well enough to ballpark a spread. So I just go to the live odds tool and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes no sense. Clearly there's something. Like if you know anything about the NBA, you know the Cavs would not be a 10-point underdog. That's just clearly wrong given if it was a normal game. So you know it's not.
Yep, exactly. I mean, Hawks and Nets. Hawks 13.5-point road favorites. The Nets are in full tank mode, and the Hawks are battling for position in the East.
100%.
Look at this Timberwolves Grizzlies game. Both of these teams are in that like 47, 46 win range, right? The only one that I think is a little bit potentially trappy today is this Bucks Pelicans game. The Bucks are 13.5-point favorites, and there's no doubt they should win. But at the same time, like if you look at the standings, Ben, in the East, I have some concerns and not to mention, every team plays tomorrow. So the Bucks are playing the back end of a second leg of a back-to-back tomorrow, and they're going up against the Pistons, who are currently 2 games behind them in the standings for the 5th seed. Does that matter to them? I don't know. It might not. The Pistons have played 79 games. So have the Bucks. The Bucks are not catching the Pacers. At least, I mean, you would assume that they're not going to catch the Pacers, with the Pacers being huge favorites tonight. So I look at this and I'm thinking, if it's possible that I could grab some unders on Giannis, very interested in that. But if I'm seeing like unders on some of these kind of tertiary players, those are spots that I'm actually avoiding right now, with the potential risk that these starters simply don't play a lot of minutes today with a back-to-back tomorrow. I think it's very live for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of look at that. And we've seen as much with a lot of these games. And I actually think if particularly with some of the boosts, if these are the type of games where I think same game parlays, which I don't advocate for, have a little more utility, because there is a lot of scenarios where it's, a team-wide situation, blowout minutes, blowout risk, dispersed minutes. I mean, I've been, as a Jazz fan, I guess you can say, I've seen that team. It feels like everyone on that team plays 22 minutes a night, all guys. And it's
Yeah.
been that for a while. And with that, you can kind of glean some info. And I think there are teams like that. And then you've got the other side where the Thunder have been a good example. I mean, the Thunder have had the one like basically wrapped up, it feels like, for 2 months. And so it's even with this though, there are edges. That's the fun part. It's just a different type of puzzle, and that's kind of my favorite, to try to figure that out.
There are certainly edges. And you know what? I've been finding some of them lately with very information like this, trying essentially to pinpoint what spots have value on overs. Now, this is generally overs, but I think, with Giannis, some unders today may make sense, because if he doesn't play, it voids. And if he does play, there's a real possibility that his minutes are a little bit more limited than they typically would be. So I would be interested in building out a little Buck same game parlay with the boost on DraftKings today.
Yeah, I'm game for that. I did actually a couple of those yesterday for the Laker game with some of the boosts that I had, and we saw that was weird, wild stuff, man. I don't know if you've watched that game.
No, I mean, I saw Luka went nuclear.
Yeah, not that you didn't need that game to solidify what a stupid decision this all was.
Oh,
but
I mean, of course.
Just like seeing it happen in real time was just, I've never seen a situation like, I'm not the only one. Everyone has been saying this. I truly have never seen a situation like that before.
Like what?
Just like it wasn't like Dame goes back to Portland and everyone's, gives him a pretty warm reception because he did so much for the city. It was actively, they were rooting for the other team. The entire arena was rooting for the Lakers, basically.
That's remarkable.
Like,
as a fuck you to the Mavericks organization.
And I've never seen a tribute video like that when it was you who did it. Like, it was as if he died or signed. Like, it was such a ridiculous like collage of memories. But then you step back and you're like, but you're the ones who.
Yeah,
it was surreal. It really was.
Yeah,
decision, not even from a basketball standpoint. Just like, even if for some reason you got to haul back, you just can't do that. You just can't do it.
That's crazy. Giannis, 45.5 PRA.
That's pretty lofty. I mean, if he plays a full allotment of minutes, he could obviously crush. We know it's Giannis, but
yeah. What's interesting though is, like, if you look at previous games, and you always want to do this to make sure, like, certain things are already going to be baked in. I don't have much doubt about that. But 49.5 is usually like his standard, right? His standard is usually 48, anywhere from like 48 to 51.5, Ben, which tells me that we are already seeing some of this baked into the odds, right?
Mm-hmm. No, and that makes sense. We're not the only ones who know the standings, so keep that in mind. Any reason there's a flood of hit, singles, bases bets at the first pitch of games?
Yeah, it's a bug right now. Here's what I do, Brett, and I think this could help you. Now, you don't have to, but this is what I do, and it never happens, because I had accidentally bet some of those live when I wasn't paying attention, and fortunately won them, but just by luck. I actually go into my MLB portfolios and I restrict them to 1 hour before pitch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I restrict it to don't get it, because another thing too, I don't mind doing that. I don't feel like I'm missing out on any significant value anyway, because your lines are already as sharp as they're going to get once you get around an hour till first pitch. So I feel like I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. I don't have to worry about those live bets populating. And also, I know that anything I'm betting is at least a couple hours out. And I have a chance of getting some legitimate CLV on that.
Interesting. Yeah. And, lineups are out at that time, so you don't have many variables. It's not like the NBA. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Rallo Brown starting today. Nice. Let's build. Let's climb. I like to hear that.
Yeah, Rallo, what's up, fellas? Starting my $100 bankroll today. Need a little help starting it? Sure. Let us know what you're looking for. We can point you in the right direction. And yeah, no problem, Brett. That'll help. That'll help for sure. And it's not going to hurt you. Patrick, good evening. Where are you, Patrick? Can you guys show me where I can find EV edges to get a plus EV edge to beat the market? First of all, Patrick, make sure you're in Discord. Those guys are super helpful, and a lot of them are willing to help. Like, we can do as much as we can here. Hopefully we can knock both of these out with Rollo and Patrick. But before we do, looking at this here on like Giannis and everything, it almost makes you just want to, and I don't know if we'd be able to, but like find alt unders instead.
Yeah. All those alt lines are tricky. Obviously, our tools now incorporate them, and that's important because where they get you for the average person, I see it all the time. You start alting to give yourself, typically, you're saying the other way, but typically people do it to give themselves more room. And you win more, but you will make less money. And that's because there's this sliding scale of chance to win, but price that you pay. If I told you, okay, Giannis is at 45.5, but I'll make it 60.5. Well, that's amazing because I get 15 more numbers. But if I tell you have to bet $1,000 to win $1, that is an incredibly bad bet. You're still probably gonna win. It's just over time when he goes nuts, you're crippled. So it's those alt lines you have to be careful because you can get enticed being like, I'll move this a little more, and then you really destroy your edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was actually referring to alt unders here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're going the other way, which is you're saying I'm going to probably lose more often, but if I hit, we're talking a bigger payout.
Brett said, "Oh, and I'm now sitting on a 20-1 Braves ticket."
You say?
I'm not. I lost that. Tyler Hero lost. I need to do it again.
I got my hero through.
Which one?
I lost mine because my guy didn't hit a home run, but Tyler Hero was great for me last night. He hit me a really nice bet. It was just his rebounds I had under 5.5. What'd you say?
You went over on rebounds or under?
I went under 5.5. He only had 4
Was that in
boards.
the tool? Oh, you know what?
Yeah, it was all straight off the tool.
That makes sense because I went PRA and he had like 30 actual points.
Yeah, that was just
only 4
dumb
rebounds.
Luck. I happened to use a boost last night, and Tyler Hero, I caught it at the right time, under 5.5 boards, and he only had 4 boards. Is perfect.
Straight from the tools, huh?
Oh yeah, straight from the tool. Almost all my boosts I go straight from the tool.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, like this Ryan Rollins, I bet this earlier today, over 13.5. It's at 16.5 now. See, a lot of this can be baked into the books, Ben, and understand, like, you expect that. And a lot of times what will happen is the books just won't even post lines until later in the day once there's more like clarification. But sometimes they will. Like, a lot of times they will. And if you're gonna jump on that, you got to jump on it early.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what I'm saying too is there's other sharp people out there that even if the books don't figure it out themselves and a bunch of money starts coming in on the over Ryan Rollins PRA, it's not going to go unnoticed.
It's not even that much money, honestly. Like, I don't know that, but I'm inferring, like, if a handful of people are hitting something that obscure, the books are going to react. Like, you don't need like $1 million bet on
for sure
that guy. Like, a couple of sizable wagers or even just a volume of wagers.
Or even just someone that's like labeled as somewhat sharp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's awesome, Brett. Man, I'll tell you, I had a lot of fun doing that yesterday, building those out.
I love doing that.
We told Josh today on one of our calls, and he's like, that's like insane. And then you explain it to him, and it's a lot less insane.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And I do believe that that's a kind of like a tier 2 way to utilize some of these tools. We know, obviously, you make your portfolios. you mass enter your bets every day, maybe makes parlays. You can take those concepts and apply it to other things, though.
Yep. And at the end of the day, I would have lost my hero bet anyway.
Yeah, so exactly. Nothing happened to you. Your balance is the same as it would have been if you never did that segment.
How about Jokic saying they awoke the beast? Do we need to add a Denver Nuggets? Do we need to add a Denver Nuggets to win the finals in a parlay here?
I mean, I do think that Denver's actually one of the more like interesting teams because if they're done, they could easily lose in the first round. But if they can find a way, you mentioned the jumble, if they could get home court advantage for at least a series and get through that, then it's kind of open.
Yeah.
Where are they? They got to be down there.
Right now they're 30-1.
Oh yeah. Put that with a play.
Whew. Look at the difference between DK and FanDuel. Plus 17-1 and 30-1.
Yeah, we'll throw that with Michael Waka under 4.5 Ks.
Let's do it.
Do it. Plus 124 on FanDuel. It looks great. That's gonna be.
Oh, you're getting a plus money on FanDuel?
Yeah, that'll be a really nice ticket.
Where's the Waka on FanDuel? I don't see it.
There for me.
What's the OS rating?
1.
I might have 2 on those, honestly. There's also a couple of other ones here. Dante DiVincenzo, 3s, under 2.5. See, again, I'm not in love with that, though, just because it's a meaningful game. Santi Aldama, another meaningful game. Maybe Waka is the play.
Yeah. And you can't. So when you do these, also, you can't do the sport you're doing. So you have to pick a baseball one.
Okay, so you're saying like they wouldn't let you parlay that with a DiVincenzo under 3s?
With any NBA.
Really?
Yep.
Even for a regular season game?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't really know why, because like, why does Dante DiVincenzo really impact the Nuggets finals equity? I would say no, obviously, but yeah, you get, so it's all cross sport. So
plug that in. What do we get to?
All right, that's what I was trying to do here. Let's say, bop bop bop, Waka Waka Waka.
And yeah, Brett said, because I hit the first part in a single, now I have the parlay paid for.
Damn right. All right, here we go.
Kind of free roll.
NBA Finals with the Nuggets. Get the Nuggets at 68-1.
Wow.
I'm telling you. So again, you could throw a 1/2 of a unit on that, and you're talking, it's to win 7 or 14 units.
I love it. Now Waka just needs to come through.
Yeah, but I'm betting him already. He's in my portfolio.
So what does it matter? Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
you're not actually losing any more money than you'd lose.
No. The only way you quote unquote lose money is if the Nuggets don't win the finals. You will miss the small additional winnings that you would have got.
Right.
It's a small price to pay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, you made money on the straight bet. So you're just making less money than you normally would.
Or potentially a lot more in the future.
Dude, if the Nuggets end up hitting or win, I mean, look, it's obviously unlikely. That's a really tough path this year.
100%.
Just getting out of the West alone.
But you also know that you're securing. I don't want to make like it works like this because you have to hit the first leg. But if you do, for a fact, you are securing great value. Like if the Nuggets were 68-1 in the tool, independently of Waka, you would go and bet it. You just would.
Yeah.
That's a
Right.
fact.
Right.
So if you
And you would already bet Waka too.
that's what I mean. So it's like, obviously, it doesn't mean that you just automatically get them at 68-1, but it does mean that if you get Waka through, you've secured a nice position that I'm sure is going to lose because I don't think the Nuggets are going to win the NBA Finals. That's irrelevant, though. I didn't particularly, even though I loved Florida, it's not like I knew they were going to win. I just said, okay, it's worth it at 110-1. And then the dots connected. You also could hedge if the Nuggets got through. They win a series. You can always find ways to navigate.
That's true. Would you ever, because this question comes up a lot, I know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Would you ever consider cashing out of certain bets if you have like real equity in the cash out?
No.
Yeah.
So
I ask you because there's a whole lot of people that do this because they essentially place the bet with zero intention of it ever getting close.
So that's you nailed it. So the answer, if you find yourself cashing out of bets a lot, you're betting too much money. That's just a fact. Because you are saying, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this, but it's not a way to make money. You're saying I'm going to sacrifice money for security. Like if somebody offered me, I use this example all the time because I really think it works. If someone offered me a coin flip, heads, I win $100 million.
Yep.
Tails, I get nothing. Right? That's great. Or I don't flip it at all, and someone just gives me $1 million. I would take the $1 million.
You would?
Yes, because that's so. I am sacrificing equity for security because $1 million would be a great windfall for me. I'm willing to say, okay, the purest optimal move would be to flip the coin. The equity is much higher on the coin flip, but I'm not willing to sacrifice the security of getting nothing. I'll take $1 million. Done.
So essentially,
yes.
When you say no, I wouldn't cash out. I see it two ways. In one hand, I just look at it simply as someone places this bet and they do it flippantly with zero intention of it ever hitting.
Yeah.
And now, like there was that one where dude had, I'm assuming it was a guy, had like Eagles to win. He had whoever won the Stanley Cup. Like he had all of these, right? He had Ohio State in there, and Dodgers, right? And then the last one he needed was Duke. And it was like it was a $5 bet. They're offering a $33,000 cash out, and his max winnings were like 67,000. And I see that two ways. This is a guy who, had he let it ride, he would have lost. And people are like, yeah, but you let it ride. That was the right thing to do. On the other hand, the guy placed a $5 bet. Like if you could cash that out for 33 or whatever $1,000, and that is legitimate life-changing money for someone, who knows, possibly a college student or some shit that like had no money to begin with and was living off ramen. If he cashed that out, there is zero part of me that's going to go, hey, moron, you never should have done that.
100%. You're not a moron. Again, but you're a moron if you think that that's the correct move math-wise. It's not. That's right. A fact. But there are more factors, just like, again, I think my example works.
It's perfect.
$1 million guaranteed, sign me up. If someone said, hey, heads or tails, if it's heads, I'll give you $100, or I'll give you $5 right now, I'd say flip it.
Yes.
Every time. What do I care? What am I going to do with $5?
If someone said, I'll give you 20 grand right now, or $1 million if you flip this coin,
I'd flip.
I'm saying flip the coin.
So am I. But if I had no money at all,
yeah, and that 20,000 means a lot. Yes.
Yeah. So it's to me, it's a risk tolerance question. The math on a cash out is always basically the same. It's bad. You don't have to do the math.
They want you to cash that
Why
ticket.
Would they all, I always say that. What do you think? They're just being nice? They don't.
Right.
They want you to cash out, obviously.
Yep. But it's funny because I hope that guy cashed out for his sake, genuinely.
I mean, if you cash out and you're content with what you do, more power to you. If you make a habit of cashing out, just know that you're leaving money on the table.
Without question. Here's how I'll look at it. Other than the fact that you nailed it, that you're betting too much, but it's not always that way. I do think a lot of it is people just never expect to win and they do something for fun. Like that dude never expected that to happen. If you couldn't live with yourself, if your bet ends up losing and you pass up on a massive cash out, if you go to bed at night and that cash out is waiting and the game is the next day and you're sitting there, head hits the pillow and you go, fuck, if I lose this and let it ride, like, I don't know what I'll do with myself. Then I'm saying this for your own mental stability, for your own mental well-being, you should cash out. I'm not talking about the math, right? I'm not talking about any of that. People get too bogged down in the math sometimes and they just treat everyone like they're an idiot, where it's like, if you actually look at the human element of this, this might really, really impact this guy's life if he cashes out and takes this boatload of money.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if a situation like that occurs, sure. I don't get into what people should or shouldn't do with their money. It's just the math is the math. If you try to justify the cash out by, well, they would have lost, you've missed the point completely.
That's not what I'm saying, though.
I know. 100%.
Okay. Yeah. What I'm justifying is it's
more, there's more than just math. That's the simple equation.
I'm justifying is some of these people still have to live with themselves.
My suggestion, by the way, for anyone that bets those crazy parlays, if you're going to do that, you should consider just betting it twice. I think that that's a pretty reasonable move because then you can cash out one of them and then let the other one ride. You know what I mean? So you can get something back and then
that is a great idea.
Yeah. So like if you're going to bet something for $10, just bet it $5 twice. And then you have two of them and you could say, okay, that's what I did with Florida. Like, not that I considered cashing out, but I had two of them. So I was like, okay, if I wanted to cash out, I'd cash out one of them, give myself a floor and then let the other one ride, knowing I got it.
What that was, that wasn't a huge bet. It was like you had a 40 and a 60, right?
Yeah.
To win like 6K and 4K, 6K and 5K. I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah.
What if that was to win $1 million and you were offered 150,000 cash out? But it was prior to the Final Four.
Yeah, I probably would have taken. I mean, have you seen my golf lineups today? I would have probably taken that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It does scale based on the amount of money, like the decision scale,
But I would never, ever, ever look back in hindsight, besides just emotionally, and be like, oh, I made a great decision. They lost. No, the decision's the same, whether they win or lose.
It wouldn't be that you made a good decision. It would be relief, but not a good decision.
Yeah.
You would feel relief, clearly.
Not if they win.
No, I'm saying only if they lost.
Yeah, but don't forget, there's the other side of this coin. Like, if you can't live with yourself.
That's why I'm saying there's no right answer. Like, well, there is. The right answer is math. Whatever. We're saying the same thing.
Yes.
But it gets tricky when it's like a college kid with a $5 bet. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm telling you, people bet it twice.
Yeah. I don't cash out of these things, but I also haven't been in a position to win like $100,000 ticket on a $5 bet.
I don't really make bets like that, so I don't really have that problem. The mass bet is where I start my bets. That's if you want to bet a bunch of bets at once. So if you're getting completely started, what you're going to do is make a portfolio for the books that you want.
I'm doing it on the screen as you talk through this.
And I think it's super simple. I don't think you need to even get crazy. Literally, you create a new portfolio, select the books that you play on. And if you want different sports, more power to you, or just leave them all together. And that's basically it. There are plenty more filters, but honestly, if you're looking to get started, pick your books, pick your leagues, and you're off to the races. And then bets will start filling in and you can bet them. You can bet them individually. You can bet them mass entry. You can bet them as parlays. So we just look at that. Simple as that. You've got all those books. you're in the portfolio lab, and that's going to show you the historical ROI. So you can say, okay, these markets are good. We have some that are hidden. Those are not so good. You see the red. You probably want to stay away from those.
Granted, this is current season, so
Early sample size. Yeah.
Small sample. If you want to go to previous season, you can use that. We did make some pretty significant updates to MLB though. So, the recommendation I make is just make small enough bet sizes to where one individual bet doesn't hurt you.
Yeah. And also, like I said, if you're new, I don't think you even need to get pick your books, pick your leagues, and start making some bets. You don't have to get into the crazy weeds right at the beginning. Look at that. Simple as that.
But I would say like OS rating, don't put it at 0. Like I think what's that?
I think you can personally, but yeah, you can up it a little.
You know why I say don't? I'll tell you why I say don't put it at 0. If you're starting off, you have no limits. Like you're dealing with healthy accounts. You're going to see no shortage of betting opportunities anyway, in my opinion. When I would say put it to 0 is like if you only have Hard Rock, or if you only have access to 1 or 2 books, and you need to, if you're finding yourself unable to get enough volume down, then sure, open it up.
Fair.
But I just think if you can start by placing better bets, they're all going to be positive EV. But if you can get enough volume down with bets that have a higher edge, personally, I don't see why you wouldn't want to at least try that to see if you can get enough volume down each day.
Yeah. You're sorting by OS rating, so you may never even see those bets though.
Right.
So how often are books added? When books pop up that are integrated into the tools, we just added the exchanges, which has been a big win. But if you're in our Discord, just request them. The devs have those channels where you can request all sorts of books. We got a lot on there now.
Ben, now I see why the Bucks were 13.5-point favorites.
Why?
Everybody is out for the Pelicans.
I didn't even know they had players to begin with. So,
dude, Elfrid Payton's probably going to start.
He's on. Elfrid Payton is like, let's see who. I'm
betting under 45.5 on Giannis.
Yeah, bet it. I'm trying to think of an NFL guy who's on. Elf Payton is legitimately on 14. Like I watched him on the Magic last night with my own eyes, but he's also on like the Pistons. He's on like 4 to 6 teams simultaneously.
It's crazy.
It's like Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah.
Remember him? He was on the Falcons and the Bengals at the same time. I swear.
Yeah, of course I remember. And remember, Peyton was like when he had that absurd haircut that looked like he had a mop on top of his head.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure he went to the Pels. He went somewhere else, and now he's back to the Pels.
Knicks at one point.
The reason I'm betting this on Giannis here, and obviously you guys do whatever you want, right? But this is just a read on what's up.
No, go ahead. I'm looking at I'm looking at all the teams that he played for. This
is just a read on this game. I could be off, but they have a second of a back-to-back tomorrow against the Pistons. Those guys are actually close in the standings. I believe they're only 2 games separated. I don't know how much you need of Giannis today, in all seriousness. I don't know how much you need of him, unless it's one of those weird games where like somehow, all of the scrubs keep a game competitive. But they're 2 games up for the 5 against Detroit. Do they care about jockeying between the 5 and 6 seed? Who knows? Maybe not. You get the 3 seed, you'd get the Knicks. If you're the 6, if you're the 5, you get the Pacers. Either way, here are the available players, Ben, for the Pels today. Elfrid Payton, Antonio Reeves, Keon Brooks, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Carlo Matkovic, Lester Quinones, Jamal Cain, and Kyler Kelly. I've never heard of Kyler Kelly.
Yeah, Kyler Kelly's. I was trying to see if I could place the colleges, and I don't know who that is.
And if you don't know who he is.
Yeah, I know some of those dudes where they went, but who drafted Elfrid Payton?
And mind you, all of these guys were already, like a lot of these guys were already out.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
I would say the Magic drafted Elfrid Payton.
No, The
Wait,
Sixers.
I knew. Yeah, damn it. You heard me pause there. Yes, I did know that. I did. And then, yeah, the Sixers.
Yep.
The Sixers always trade guys to the Magic. Like they
Yeah.
traded Vucevic to the Magic.
Magic, Suns, Pelicans, Knicks, Suns, Pelicans,
Yep.
Hornets, Pelicans.
I have a better one for you. Hold on. If you think can you guess who I'm going to mention?
No.
Can any of you guys guess who I'm going to mention that's been on 1,000 different teams? There was one guy I just perfect.
James Johnson, the quarterback.
Josh Johnson.
Josh Johnson. James Johnson he's on the Pelicans, I think, actually. He's somebody.
All right, ready? Who is wait, hold on. Let me hide the name. I can't hide the name. Ready? Look at that.
Hold on, I gotta zoom in on the screen.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's a lot of potatoes. Does this guy play points? Was this guy ever even good? Oh, he was all right. Yeah, no, that's a lot.
Ish Smith.
Oh yeah, never in a million years. I think I had his top shot.
Ish Smith has been on so many teams. Houston,
I have the top shot.
Houston, Memphis. Oh, good. That's worth a lot.
Oh yeah.
Warriors, Magic. All right, listen to this. Houston, Grizzlies, Warriors, Magic, Bucks, Suns, Thunder, Sixers, Pistons, Washington, Charlotte, Denver. That's crazy. It's like 13 teams. He was in the league for 14 years.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is still in the league, actually.
Is he? Yeah, I remember. Yeah. He's always asking for trades, that guy.
Yeah, he's on the Knicks. I saw him the other day, and I was like, wait, what?
Let's
let's see what the board. Let's see what's on the board right now.
Yep. I also wanted to see if there's any good home run prop. Shout out to Brett. Now I can just refresh this. Yeah, nothing. It's a small, not a ton going on. There's already some games in progress. Nothing popping for home runs.
You got to change the scene.
Yeah, I got it.
As much as I want to just stare at Ish Smith's game log for the rest of the show. By the way, while you bring that up, I know you guys know this, a lot of you, but we always get new viewers and we're always excited for this stuff. If you want to poke around and build some portfolios for yourself, I'll drop the link. The first week is free. So you have no risk, no anything. You get in there, you sign up, build portfolios for a week and place some bets. And if you love it, that's amazing. 2025 betting just got a whole lot more interesting. If you don't, cancel after the week and you're not charged a cent. It's completely free for a full week. So try out the tools, get your feel, get in Discord, ask questions, and make the most of your free trial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's first week 100% free. Just even if you're starting with a small bankroll, it doesn't matter. Here, I'll make it simple for you.
That's nuts. I didn't know you could even do that. I always wondered how people did that.
What'd you do?
So if you press show.
Oh, cool. You just had to press show?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So like if I went into Brett's PJ Tucker, oh, look at that.
See? I always wondered how those got on the screen.
Neat.
I'm a genius. Chad, say something interesting. I'll put it on the screen. Interesting.
I'll show them real quick because this to me is like as powerful as it gets. That I showed you this yesterday, but Justin, who I'd interviewed, who had hit me up, turned 100 into 11,400, and he started in late November with $100. Okay, it's I think the best example because this guy was like, "Hey, these tools might suck. I'm starting with 100." That's why he did it. Look at his ROI, Ben. 4.2%. 4.2%, and explosive growth. 100 into almost, and you can tell this is like 100% legitimate because like he lost 1,100 in 2022. He won he was up $36 in 2023, and then 2024. All of these gains were after, because he told me he was losing until he tried it. He was up like 370 or something in December because he started in late November, turned 100 into, I was going to say parlayed it into 11,000, but he was placing straight bets, like 98% straight bets. And literally all he did was get as many down as possible, appropriately sized his bets, and made sure to reinvest that bankroll every single day. That is one of the coolest success stories I think you'll ever see.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's just showing. I love those kind of pictures because there's so many little things that you can look at. You can look at the graph and you see kind of the slow growth, and then you really hit your stride. You can look at some of the metrics, and then you start to understand what we're talking about. 4%, it doesn't sound that cool, but you have to understand what that is. And you just did a video actually on the concept of, it's called compounding returns, which is, think about how quickly something like 4% adds up if you're getting it regularly. And of course, there's ebbs and flows. It's not just a standard 4% every day, but it is a churn every day. It's not, oh, at the end of the month, I take my $100 bankroll and I'm up 8%. Now I have 108. That is not what it is. And that's the big difference.
Yeah.
That's sick. I mean, that's absurd. Like, you don't see, let's be real. Those are crazy stories. It happens. That's an insane one, though.
It's absolutely insane, but I like to highlight it because even though most people aren't going to turn 100 into 11,400 in 4 months, you can turn 100 into something significant and then like actually have a sustainable. I always like to look at it like this too. The idea of having a sustainable bankroll is so overlooked. Like, where a lot of people each day they go into it just worried that like the bankroll is going to crater and then they'll either have to deposit again or they just won't have money to bet. When you can build out a sustainable bankroll to deal with any types of swings, that's when all the pressure is off.
Yeah. I mean, bankroll, all that stuff is not the most interesting content, but it's the most important stuff. Like,
Brett said that man needs to show his portfolios. When I talked to him, he didn't even have portfolios.
yeah, well, that's just bananas. He was just going straight off the tool.
Yeah, he does now.
Well, yeah. But
sorry, you were saying about?
No, I was just saying how important it is. Something I talk about a lot in my own Discord is like, even if you use these tools and you're betting high edge plays, if you don't structure the bankroll properly, you'll go broke 100%. 100%. No matter what you bet. Like,
yeah, because
you have to be able to weather the storms. And that's why, whether you're going flat bet, which I think is totally fine, you have to structure it properly. Because, if you lose 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 out of 20 or something, that's going to happen frequently. It can't be anything besides a speed bump. It can't wipe you out. That's just not going to work.
Do you ever get like, before we go?
Oh boy.
Do you ever get like spam, like phishing text messages from random things?
I get easy pass.
Oh, that's what I just got. Okay, perfect. Well, I get them from I'll get easy pass. Sometimes I'll get one from like Colorado. But this one says toll violation notice.
Yeah, I got that yesterday.
Okay, here's the best. I read it to the bottom and it goes, "This is your last opportunity. Pay now to avoid irreversible consequences." What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, considering I don't really I barely drive, that makes it unlikely.
But it doesn't even say where it is. It doesn't say anything, but pay now to avoid irreversible consequences.
It could be true though. You don't know.
Could you imagine like the PA toll commission sending you that? That's like, hey, we're going to kill you if you don't pay. It's just crazy.
They mean business down there.
Anyway, thanks guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Huge slate of NBA games. Here's what I would say. We should jump on and actually dissect some of the team situations instead of just blindly betting stuff, because this is where it gets dangerous. But I think also where we can find some like legitimate edges on a slate like tomorrow.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm loving about what we've been doing the past couple of days. I know it hasn't been as structured, but the tools are there. Like I said, it's very streamlined. You go in, you make your portfolios, you place your bets. That's not the only thing that you can do with the PortfolioEV tools. And we're kind of, I think, poking around live odds, talking about how you add it to maybe some origination with the NBA right now. Those are like next level edges that I'm trying to explore. So we'll run it back tomorrow. You have any questions, you hit us up. And again, that free trial link, it's there for you guys. So
yeah, come join us. It's zero risk to you. And even if you want to start with Justin, put $100 in and make $1 bets and scale them as your bankroll grows. Do it. Do it. Anyway, have a great day, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow to close out the work week. Peace.